Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today from the Department of Ag, Trade, Consumer Protection. We call him the DATCP expert. It's Michael. He's back, and he is ready to rock our socks with home improvement. I've been using this dark voice lately. I don't know why, but there it is. So hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. Home improvements.
Yeah.
You get a little bit warm out, and this sort of seems timely. Like all of these things, they're pretty timely indeed. But it gets warm. You want to get outside. You want to start doing some home improvement stuff. Yeah.
Well, I guess in partnership with that, you've also been stuck inside for the past couple months. You're a little bit of cabin fever. You're looking around. You're staring at, I want to fix that. I want to fix that. And now you start putting kind of nuts to bolts there and say, hey, let's actually start getting something fixed. You could go on those products because the weather is going to start cooperating.
Now we know from our top 10 this year that home improvement was in the top 10. So certainly we know that there are issues that arise when we look at the contractors or looking at buying supplies and stuff here. But you got some great tips here on making sure that you get all your ducks in a row. And maybe that's kind of a point is like when you're getting ready to do home improvement. I'm already thinking, think about what you're going to do. But, when you are going to get into this and, between picking contractors, supplies, everything else, it seems to me number one step is stop and make sure that you're finding the right people, the right places, suitable companies from buying from nails all the way to the home improvement contractor.
And even before you get to that, you really want to get a good idea of what it is you want to do. And it really comes down to making sure that you have an understanding of maybe what the scope of that project's going to be. Similar to buying other things, buy a car, sometimes you get the line, you're like, oh, now I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. So understanding in advance what that project's going to look like, kind of limiting yourself. And then also either sketching out or maybe getting pictures of something you want to do, because me explaining to you in a vision, if you're a contractor, what I want to do, you might be hearing something different because your expertise hears different words, thinks other things, maybe relies on other projects. So it's good to say, hey, let me get a good idea so I can show you exactly what I want when you talk to those contractors. And then when you want to look for those contractors, it's good to ask for recommendations. If you have friends or family or coworkers that have done a project and were happy with the results, ask them, who did you work with? It's better to have those firsthand recommendations from people you trust to know that you're getting ahead of. You don't have to have that hesitation of, well, is it going to work out? Is it going to work out? You know that they did.
I think you want to build that rapport, if you just start with just basic conversations and you start missing phone calls or you start, you're already before you even start the job and you're like, I don't know, the conversations haven't even started off really well. It could be some red flags just out of the gate for even choosing.
It is, and this is usually a very, very big investment in what you're doing. The second part I always like to say and recommend doing all this work in advance is because it's in your house. And so if something goes wrong, you're going to carry that emotional scar with you. And every time you look at it, you're not going to be happy and satisfied with you should be.
The scar on the wall,
right.
The one that got away.
You're going to be upset and be like, oh, I really love the new remodel, but this didn't go right. So put yourself in an opportunity not to do that.
So let's dive into the contractor side of things, and specifically when you pick a contractor and going into a contract, what should you know when you're entering a contract after you've maybe found the person you like, and picking out and saying, well, what's this look like, the liens, all those things that come with picking out for home improvement?
There's a lot. We could spend a lot of time on that. So we'll
try to answer all of that in 2 minutes, okay?
I probably can't, but I'll try. The first is recognizing that sometimes, even if you have that relationship or an understanding that while oral agreements are binding in Wisconsin, we really discourage that. And you don't want to get everything in writing so that both of you understand what the expectation is. Once you have kind of an idea of what that work will look like, make sure it's documented with the details. You had a good point earlier about, what kind of siding is going to be used, what kind of nails are we using, what pound, things like that. Also within the contract, set out those dates and times so you know when the project's going to start, when it should be finished up by, a payment schedule. Also asking that contractor if they have any of the permits. Who's responsible for getting them? The last thing you want to do is they're thinking you're getting them, you're thinking they're getting them, and all of a sudden you built it and now you got to tear it down because it wasn't done the right way. Ask the contractor for their licenses and insurance so there wasn't any liability issues should something happen on your property when there's those fixtures are being cased. The other part too is, and we really emphasize that if there's going to be any prepayment, and it's pretty typical in the industry to have some type of prepayment to start getting those supplies, a written contract is required in Wisconsin. So if you have a contractor and they're like, hey, you do a handshake deal and then they ask you for $10,000 up front, perhaps pause, to put that friendship on pause for a second and say, I really need a written contract just to make sure. So there's a few more things, but those are the big ones to make sure.
Yeah, and if a contract goes awry, or if the job goes crazy and you're unhappy and you're not able to kind of find the middle ground, so to speak, when should somebody get involved with maybe reaching out to you and be like, hey, we've tried to communicate, we're not seeing on this eye to eye, or I'm out X amount of dollars, or blah blah blah. But when would DATCP wanna, maybe could they reach out to DATCP and start asking questions to you guys, like, hey, I think we got something seriously going on here that's wrong, I just don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, you can always call us at any time. And I would say that there's opportunities to call us throughout the entire project. You can call us up front. If you got a couple contractors you're looking at, you can't decide between the two, call us. We'll let you know if we have complaints against either one of them. We won't tell you what the context is, but we'll at least let you know, hey, we have 10 against this one and none against this one, and that might be a deciding factor for you. The second is, if you have mid-cycle and things aren't quite going right, you can call us and say, what are my rights and responsibilities here? What can we do? And then, of course, if you just exhaust that communication with the contractor and you just can't get that resolution, file a complaint with us. We'll jump in, we'll mediate back and forth and try and see if things were done the way they were supposed to. And if they weren't, we'll work with that contractor to kind of get it done the right way. And then also, as a consumer, we'll let you know, hey, here are some things that maybe if you have in the future, some protections to help you not encounter the same situation.
Yeah, and I was going to say at the end of, we are really zipping through this, so I appreciate getting in as much as you can. But as we wrap up here, there are plenty of information on your website, and you even have a fact sheet just specifically on home improvement consumer tips. Check that out before, if you're doing some of these projects, pick that up and just start kind of educating yourself a little bit too. There's a lot there, and I think even if you've done construction in the past, things change, things get better. You guys learn things and update that tip sheet as well. So I don't know, I would want to review that ahead of time. Where can they find that?
Visit our website at datcp.wi.gov. We have in our fact sheet section, we have hundreds of them. But I appreciate you giving the pitch on this one. This is one of our best ones because it really is a checklist of what you want to do to protect yourself from potentially losing thousands of dollars. So datcp.wi.gov, or if you have any of those questions, you can give us a call at 1-800-422-7128.
Maybe they just like looking at the crookedness of the window. It's just slightly off. If you stand on one foot, it's not
they're
too bad.
Better than me because it would drive me crazy.
Yeah. Well, don't look at the set too closely because Nick and I are not the best contractors. Anyways, thank you so much, Michael, for all your help as always. And check out DATCP's website for more information and that tip sheet as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy.